Hi guys, and welcome back to the Sim Racing Show. Super excited today because we are going deeper than ever before into the world of racing games on PC. So you've seen the big titles, you've heard the hype, but what's really happening behind those super flashy trailers and the huge launch events? Well, we're going to uncover the surprising winners, shocking flops, and asking honest and tough questions about what actually keeps players like us racing and what sends us packing. And we're going to be brutal in this one. We're going to tackle big surprises like Rennsport, the even simulator, which just announced a massive cross-platform launch coming to PlayStation and Xbox alongside its PC version. But the player numbers are disgraceful. They're disgracefully low. So is that going to make a difference and boost those modest numbers? We're also going to discuss the wild roller coaster that is Assetto Corsa Evo. It started with undeniable massive hype, and I was keen to try and keep that in check. I was worried people were going to expect something that Evo isn't, and now Evo is struggling to retain even a fraction of its players. Can the update save it, or is it actually too late for Assetto Corsa Evo? We're going to ask that question. Le Mans Ultimate is newer to the sim racing world than say iRacing, and they've been dropping a lot of exciting content. But what's that actually doing with the player numbers? Will it push the game into being a genuine competitor to iRacing? BeamNG Drive is crushing games on Steam. If you don't know what it's about, I'm going to explain. It's the biggest racing game on Steam. It's even bigger than Forza Horizon 5, which exploded onto the scene with record-breaking numbers at the time, and it's now branching out into PlayStation. Is this a huge juggernaut that we should be aware of in sim racing, given it's more obviously simcade, arcade, but has a lot of real cars? And don't forget the Crew Motorfest there, doing big partnerships with like Red Bull and actual, established names like Liberty Walk. What's holding that back? RaceRoom is a game I talk a lot about, fighting hard with big content updates, aiming to reignite that player interest with a different business model. And also we're going to talk about hardware. We're going to talk about Asetek. They're trying to shake things up in the entry-level sim racing hardware market. And there's lots of other stuff behind. I think this is going to be the best sim racing show you've ever seen. So if you want to give me a vote of confidence now, hit subscribe now so you can unsubscribe later if you're not happy. So let's be brutally honest about Rennsport. It's a game that generates plenty of buzz, but let's be honest, is struggling to build a solid audience. Here are the facts. It's currently on Steam sitting at about 30 active players, which means I think there are more esports drivers actually paid to play this game. And it's clear Rennsport has a huge mountain to climb, and you wouldn't get that from the marketing. Now they have literally, as I speak, just made a bold move by announcing full cross-platform support. That means yes, they are coming to console and syncing progress, they say, across PC and console platforms with unified leaderboards. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. But let's see. I mean in terms of fairness of leaderboards and peripherals and cheating, etc. But it could change the game, and it will allow you to race seamlessly regardless of your platform. Personally, for me, having a gaming PC, a PlayStation, Xbox, that's quite exciting. And the developers are hoping this is going to be the big boost for Rennsport. Because like I said, not a lot of people are really playing the game. It's a strategic push. But will cross-platform be enough? Or is there still enough negativity about Rennsport originally trying to sell NFTs, evens, and then backing off from that? And if you look at some of the comments that have been sent to me, it looks like Rennsport might be a Porsche-developed game that's being promoted by Porsche-owned websites, but it's not being disclosed as adverts, or maybe it doesn't need to because maybe it's not all Porsche-owned, but we just don't know. So hopefully we're going to get some clarity on that. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Now, what about a smaller racing game that's beating giants? So this is going to be BeamNG Drive, a sim, really. In fact, it's arguably the most sim you can get with the reality of damage and how the drivetrains works. And it deserves more attention, I think. It's quietly crushing it, I'm putting it. Around 14,000 active players at the moment, which is bigger than Forza Horizon 5 and Forza Horizon 4, which have 11,000 and 12,000 respectively. So that proves one thing, I would say. Great underlying gameplay and a passionate community can beat flashy marketing campaigns, paid influencers, and all this kind of stuff. And there's exciting news for BeamNG fans. I count myself as one of them, and I'm often looking for reasons to get back into it. The developers were just teased a remaster of the Sunburst, which is a great car in the game that kind of is inspired by the Impreza. You've seen me perhaps drive it on the channel. It's a fan favorite. It's a great car to go around in the open world that you have in the BeamNG, especially in like the modding library that's quite easy to access. But the big thing about BeamNG is, for me, it needs a proper UI, it needs a proper career mode, it needs gamification, but it's a sleeping tiger ready to explode. The big competitor for that is Forza Horizon 5, a game I've talked about on the Sim Racing Show for about 50 episodes now, and sometimes I get a bit of criticism, like, why are you talking about the Sim Racing Show? It just hit 81,000 concurrent players on Steam, the highest ever recorded for any racing title and platform, we believe. So you have to know about it, and it's doing a lot of real cars, a lot of exclusive kind of arrangements for manufacturers. So it exists, and potentially it could go more in the sim direction, which would be insane. Now, here's the twist. Despite the massive launch, player counts have decreased since it came out. So is the PS5 announcement and going there going to be a massive resurgence and kind of be that big boost for Forza Horizon 6, potentially being the biggest racing game we've ever seen? So just in case this is surprising you, we have broken it before in the Sim Racing Show, but you might have missed it. Forza Horizon 5 is coming to PlayStation. That's official. That's not clickbait or anything. It's coming to PlayStation. Forza is coming to PlayStation. I just can't even believe it. There's three choices. You've got the standard edition at $60, the deluxe at $80, or the premium. I'm actually not sure how much premium is. So you might want to keep an eye actually in this one on the deluxe, because there's been so much DLC that's come out on the game in Xbox that you're going to be able to get in PlayStation. There's also an early access in PlayStation that seems weird for such an established game. You are going to get a 60 FPS mode as well in performance, which we also now have in Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown and the Crew Motorfest on PS5, at least on my PS5 Pro. Speaking of PS5 Pro, there is going to be upgraded visuals in Forza Horizon 5 on the PS5 Pro. So, big game to be aware of, and there are pre-order bonuses on PS5 like the Lamborghini Revuelto, a really exciting car at the moment just in the car world, and the Hennessy Mammoth 6x6. I think that's the one with crazy wheels that I don't care too much about. And now there's Assetto Corsa Evo, which in December 2024, a lot of people were saying this is going to be a Forza Horizon killer with the Nürburgring free roam. That seems miles away. I cannot see that being optimized to run at 60 FPS unless you've got a bit. Even on this PC, it's going to struggle. But before we go straight into that, I want to say a big thank you to today's sponsor, GT Omega. They provided the rig here you see behind me with the bucket seat. It's the Prime Light. It's the cheapest aluminium extrusion rig GT Omega do, and I use a 60 Newton meter wheel on it that you see me using, of course, Evo. So big thanks to GT Omega for sponsoring this video. If you want to get an extra discount on their stuff, use my code Kireth5 at checkout, and it's an extra 5%, so it gives you an extra amount off. So big thanks to GT Omega, big friend of the channel. But Assetto Corsa Evo, what has gone wrong with it? Because if you look at the player numbers, it's massively reduced. I'm making a lot of content on it, so I feel really in the community there. But the wider peripheral sim game racing game community isn't that interested at the moment, I would say. It did launch with big hype. It impressed with a all-time peak of 25,000 players. But let's get brutally honest, like I promised. The current player count is about 360. Alarm bells ringing. That is a massive L, and something has gone seriously wrong here, I would say. Now, you might disagree with that and say, oh, it's early access. Everyone knew it's early access. I don't think a lot of people knew how early the early access was going to be. Now, they are continuing to support it. They just added Fuji Speedway, the new Lamborghini as well, and also the Lancia is a really fun car to drive. And some tweaks to the handling. The 296 Ferrari feels like really, really fun to drive. I had a lot of fun with that. The graphics have been tweaked as well. The performance is a little bit better. They've tweaked the economy as well. They were very flexible in allowing you to drive every car. You can still, by the way, a little cheat. You can drive every car in the game if you flick the setting to offline at the moment. I hope they don't get rid of that because that's quite a nice setting. But these improvements can't mask the big issues that I think is responsible for the player count dropping. Lack of content, no multiplayer, poor performance, no GT3 racing cars, no open world. Like, I think people expected more here, and we don't have it. So Assetto Corsa Evo needs more than quick fixes. It needs sustained improvement in the balance of realism and engagement to regain trust and rebuild a community that is pretty happy on Assetto Corsa with mods and Assetto Corsa Competizione. And I made a very controversial video saying Assetto Corsa Evo need to change their mod policy. Because if Assetto Corsa Evo had a different mod policy now, we would see the modding community adding cars, etc. and helping the performance maybe. But we're not, because they've essentially banned mods until it goes into their full release. Let's talk about Le Mans Ultimate. I hope you're loving this video, by the way. It's a game that is fairly new, but seems to be on the rise. Right now, it's got a steady above 1,000 active players. So not huge, but promising. It's got that core going for it. Way more than Assetto Corsa Evo. They're bringing fan favourite cars like the Porsche 911, the new Aston Martin Vantage GT3 as well, and some clever marketing with the Ford Mustang GT3 being free. I think they're striking a good balance between the paid content and the free content. They've obviously got over that initial hump of charging for paid content and early access. Next month, more GT3 cars coming. The Lusail circuit from Qatar's coming. They've also given a smart move this, really smart move. I like this, and I've given Le Mans Ultimate a lot of pain in the past, but I like this. Different layouts of existing circuits. Le Mans, Bahrain as well. Really fun, different layouts. Doesn't take a lot to do. It gives a lot more replayability. Gran Turismo should take note. So the real question for Le Mans Ultimate is, can these updates turn the tide for Le Mans Ultimate, and can it now start to grow? Is it going to grow? Is it going to take players from iRacing? Love to hear from you if you're an iRacing stalwart and you got a subscription, you got paid content, and you're thinking or have already made the jump to Le Mans Ultimate. Now let's talk about the Crew Motorfest and face some hard truth here, because the game started out pretty rough. I remember the launch day, the servers weren't working, and these are Steam figures, by the way. I'm not sure how Uplay fits into this, but managing a peak of 3,700 is not blockbuster numbers, especially not what we've seen with BeamNG and Forza Horizon. But to be fair to the Crew Motorfest and Ubisoft, they have been relentless with the updates and they keep coming with it. And is it going to make the difference to people when they think about Forza Horizon or BeamNG or the Crew Motorfest? I don't know. The latest update that's just been launched is featuring Red Bull, and there's so much content with it, even a podcast with the F1 drivers, etc. So they've got, I mean, they're probably one of the best in terms of just delivering that increasing content throughout the game. But I'm surprised that the Crew Motorfest hasn't resonated more. But the player numbers on the Crew Motorfest are not booming. And in fact, if you compare it to the Crew 2 on Steam, which is the last game where you can actually drive around the whole US continent, it's not materially different. So it seems for the Crew Motorfest, these new content pieces in terms of new cars and the new island isn't a silver bullet. Are they going to bring that US map to the Crew Motorfest? And if so, is that going to be a big game changer? Because that could be insane. The Crew Motorfest has more depth to it in terms of the tuning and handling than you might expect. So moving on to a proper sim now in RaceRoom, and this is a underdog that is trying to get that market share, that has a small, passionate community, that doesn't really have the marketing budget and doesn't have the reach to, I think, get to the player base that it wants to get to. Only has 500 active players at the moment, recently peaking 800, all-time high of 2,600, I believe, that's what the stats say, and it's pushing to try and get those new fans. It's done something interesting now with a new update called Twin Forest. It's like a Race of Champions style track where you go head-to-head. Race of Champions is actually on at the moment as we record this. That was meant to have an Race of Champions with Marcel Offerman's new sim, The Last Garage, which all fell apart at the last moment because I think Marcel wasn't happy about some support he was getting. I don't want to quote that wrong, but we covered that in a previous sim racing show. And they're also introducing Genting Highlands Highway, which is awesome. And that's in Malaysia. I see a lot of people going up there driving cars. It's like a Touge style route. So that's really exciting. It's added the entire Porsche 2024 Carrera Cup North America grid. It's added the BMW M3 E30 and the M4. It's added a RaceRoom drift area. They say they're working on a drift scoring system, so they're pretty confident in their underlying sim, and they want to add more gameplay there. But you can see, how is RaceRoom going to get those additional players? Is it sustainable at the current player count? I would say yes. Is Le Mans Ultimate sustainable at the player count? Not the way Motorsport Games was previously structured, and it looks like they're going to sacrifice R Factor 2 really full in Malta, although rFAT 2 just came out with a new update with Formula E cars in the game, which is pretty interesting. I want to give you some hardware news because it's been a very software intensive sim racing show, and you heard me complain in the previous sim racing show about how I wanted to see more software updates, so that's why this time we wanted to really take a look at the software. But on hardware, Asetek are saying you can now get, well, not now, soon you're going to get a rig for $1,000 with a pretty punchy equipment on it, and that's a new Initium lineup that is going to be Xbox compatible. So we broke that news last year in Germany, and they say you're going to have a rig. I can't believe this. A rig, pedals, a wheelbase, and a rim for $1,000, which is a pretty interesting proposition because we don't see a lot of integration from the rig manufacturers like we're seeing with GT Mega and the wheel manufacturers. So we'll see that. And the cockpit actually itself is going to be $399. I think they've just released that pricing. I've also had a content drop from Asetek where I've been going through it and kind of really tearing it apart and giving you my honest opinions on what I like, what I don't like. There's some stuff in there that I think is absolutely amazing, and there's some stuff in there that I'm surprised about how things aren't lining up, etc. So hopefully you can enjoy that video. In fact, if you want to see that video, make sure you're subscribed now, and it will be coming up on the channel very soon. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you next time.